All right, Gypsy Gang, what is up? Today we're going to be doing a bit of a different video. This is going to be like a news style segment, which obviously we haven't done before. But the other day I got flooded with DMs from people that were complaining about the media coverage of, or I guess lack of media coverage of Dakar. So we thought we would do a complete history of Toby Price at the Dakar, and then I guess even circle back a little bit as well to the Finke. So that there's this whole big story that's just bigger than Toby showing up and racing. So there's a few key moments and key things that have kind of linked together. So I'm going to use this video to try and paint the whole picture of how Toby came to race this event, win this event, and I guess all those little behind the scenes things that led to this happening and us now having a two-time Dakar champ with the man Toby Price. For everyone that was, I guess, not complaining, but just bringing to light that there was very limited Dakar coverage this year, this is a good chance to just share this video. We've been putting a ton of effort into our YouTube overall, which is obviously where this will live. So yeah, we'll get stuck into this whole Toby Price Dakar deal right now. So in 2015 was the first time that Toby actually raced the Dakar. Now that came about through like a series of introductions through Caselli, who unfortunately passed away. Toby goes out and gets third in that first appearance in the Dakar, as essentially he was the water boy for the KTM dudes. So there was no real support there. Basically they were just hooking him up, giving him a chance to do it. And then that first race at Dakar has really been what kind of snowballed this whole thing. Toby goes on, gets third there, and then he gets a contract with the guys at Red Bull KTM. 2016 is that breakout year for Toby. Pretty dominant performance to get the overall win at Dakar. Toby got a ton of coverage for this one. So I guess this year, obviously not as much coverage, but in that first year there really was a ton of excitement around it because this was the first time an Australian had ever won this event. For everyone that knows, the Dakar is widely considered the toughest motorsport event in the world, and this was a grueling stage. This was a grueling Dakar because it was a full 14-day deal. This brings out a ton of new opportunities. Toby goes from I guess being like relatively unknown in a way to way more in the mainstream media eye in Australia. He's now doing drives for the V8 supercars with their trophy truck, the SST trucks. Then he moves on to Team Triton Racing with a deal there to kind of come in and drive when his schedule doesn't conflict. So 2016 and then into 2017 was like a really crazy year for Toby in terms of his own profile. Yeah, obviously winning an event like the Dakar is going to kind of bring on all of these new opportunities. So 2017, Toby heads back. He's got the number one plate on his bike, and then he only gets a few days in before he absolutely cartwheels his KTM. Now, we spoke to Toby on the podcast after that race, and he was saying there was like a bunch of sort of weird stuff going on. He got told that he was way behind Beretta, which he really wasn't. He pushed too hard in a silt bed, went over the bars, broken femur, and then that starts a pretty gnarly chain of events, which basically takes until the next Dakar to get right. And even then, it's not right. So maybe we'll just put the little bit of a segment in, but Toby talks about this crazy experience in what we call now the Bolivian butcher shop. So he's rushed off to hospital, and it's just chaos. He's in basically a third world country with a broken femur. Nobody speaks any English. People from the team aren't really able to get back because the Dakar is still running. So it's like this mess of a broken femur and then all of the logistics to now just get Toby home. And when you break a femur, you can't just get on a plane and get back. So he has the first surgery there. It actually doesn't look too bad when we get the x-rays and everyone kind of sees the surgery. It doesn't look like he's in that much trouble. So gets home, everything is kind of fine, starts going through the whole recovery process, and the femur just doesn't heal. So everyone's kind of like scratching their head as to what's going on. Ends up finding out that there's a bunch of problems in his knee, goes in for another surgery, and then that basically pushes back any preparation for Dakar in 2018. 2018, he manages to get on the bike, manages to bring home a third place finish, and this was a crazy third place because there was at one point in the race where he actually lost an hour on the leaders. By the last stage, the last day, he was able to get that down to 20 minutes. So pretty massive effort to get third. Now we fast forward into 2018, coming off that third place. Everything's going pretty good for Tobes, and then he wins the FIM World Rally Championship, which is something that he hasn't done before. And then is testing with the team 4 weeks before Dakar, which is now highly documented, crashes, breaks his wrist, and it wasn't like, I want people to get, like, this wasn't like a fracture, there wasn't like just a little crack in the ulna or radius. This was like a broken scaphoid that needed surgery. There was a screw put in there. The best surgeons, I'm pretty sure he had the surgery in Austria. They had like the best surgeons on it, but whereabouts, Matt? Spain. Righto. I said Austria, but we have the Toby Price management team here confirming that it was in fact Spain where he had the surgery. So goes in, has this surgery, and he spent a bunch of time back home doing the rehab stuff before Dakar. He did one ride with my dad that was on a road bike. He rode a Super Duke, and then he did one day at QMP, and that's it before Dakar. So this wasn't just some basic fracture. This was a full-blown scaphoid, and that injury, for anyone that has had that injury, that's something that can take you out for a year. Like my brother Matty did his scaphoid, and it still gives him problems. So that's like years later too. So this was about as bad as you could do something before the biggest race of the year. Not to mention that's on his throttle hand as well. So Tobes definitely had a lot against him going into this Dakar, and I believe, and he hasn't said this to me, probably wouldn't say it to me, I believe that he didn't really think he had a chance to win this Dakar, which is maybe some of the craziest, like one of the craziest storylines about this Dakar is that he just would have gone in hoping to finish. And I mean, he even went on record saying, I just hope to make it to the rest day. And he doubted that he would. I'd sent him a message like 3 days in saying, how's the wrist? And he said, it's going to fucking explode. And for anyone that does know Toby, as much as I fucking hate to admit this, he is one of the toughest people I've ever met. It does pain me to say that. I love giving him shit. But this was brutal for him to say how bad something hurt, especially when he would like to hide that kind of information. It means he was in some serious pain going through this. But ends up getting the win, as we all know now. That last stage was crazy. Going to bed for that night I was definitely super nervous to wake up in the morning, but I had a feeling that in a 100-kilometer stage with everything that he'd already been through, I just couldn't see him letting it go over 100 kilometers. Obviously, Quintanelli has his crash, which essentially takes him out of the race. But that sort of goes to show, I think, the respect that they have for Toby's outright speed. Now, you look at the clip that Red Bull posted. It was like the follow clip of Sam Sunderland, and he's in frame, and he looks like he's absolutely sending it. And then Toby goes past like he's standing still. So I think these guys really are hyper aware of just how fast Toby is in terms of that raw speed. And I think that then leads back to maybe where all of this started originally, is the Finke Desert Race. So for those of you that are watching this that aren't from Australia and don't know what the Finke Desert Race is, that's, I guess, our Baja 1000, you could say. So that's where Toby cut his teeth in desert racing. So 2010 or 2009, he basically quits motocross, gets a ride with KTM. So basically, Toby starts his off-road career. 2010 is his first crack at Finke. It's 240 Ks to Apachula, and then 240 Ks back the next day into Alice Springs. So the winner of that is called the King of the Desert. And Toby basically threw down in that first year, won as a rookie, and is now, I'm going to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure he's won this now 6 times on the bike. So just to give you an idea of how that kind of leads into this whole Dakar stage, the way that I'm talking about it, is basically Toby sprints that entire 240 kilometers. Takes him about 2 hours to do, and it is wide open. So when it comes to closing the Dakar on the last day with 100 kilometers to go, basically what you're seeing is not even half of the Finke. So you've got a guy that made his career on these sprint desert races. And I just don't think, like, no one in Australia has been able to beat Toby. And there's insane guys that do that race. The Smith brothers, you had Ty Simmons, one of the most talented motocross riders of all time. You've got Alice Springs locals. Like, they just can't beat Toby out there. There's just something about the way he rides. It's this perfect storm of him being the best dude ever at that event. So now you fast forward to the last stage of Dakar in 2018, and what you're seeing is a guy that is so well practiced at doing these desert sprint races and over a longer distance than what he actually had to do at Dakar this year. And I think that would have given him so much confidence knowing that that is his pedigree. There's like a whole nother storyline in this Toby Price Dakar legacy that we've got going on now. So in 2013, he goes over to the US and meets Kurt Caselli. Now, this is maybe one of the more, I guess, impactful events on Toby's professional life and pretty much his personal life as well. I think it really rattled him. So he goes over, meets Kurt Caselli, and is kind of helping him with his Baja 1000 preparations. They're obviously KTM teammates. They got on really well and formed this really strong connection. Toby goes on to actually break his neck in 2013. And this is almost game over, lights out for the Toby Price story right here. It could have even the fact that he didn't get paralyzed, it still was almost game over. Like, you just don't see many people coming back from an injury the way that he did. Even, you take away the fact that he was almost paralyzed, but people just won't get on and get back to the level that Toby did after something like that. I don't think it's super common, especially in the line of work that they do. I think in motocross and supercross it might be a little bit more common, but to just reach that top level Dakar, desert race, rally kind of thing, It's so gnarly to come back from. So meets Kurt in 2013. That kicks off that whole chain of events, and then breaks his neck, and I kind of goes back to like square one essentially. So then we fast forward to November of 2015, and Kurt Caselli passes away at the Baja 1000, which is the same event where Toby broke his neck. So this is obviously devastating, not only for Toby, but for everybody. Caselli, to anyone that met him, was this true American badass dude. And he made an impact on not only Toby, but so many people. And now this guy that has, I guess, Kurt Caselli is the dude that put Dakar on the radar for Toby. Now, Kurt Caselli was going over to compete in the Dakar, and in this, I guess, weird way, when he passed away, Toby almost took that spot that was Caselli's and went on. And really, that first time that he did Dakar, he really put the Caselli legacy, I guess, on his back, and really rode that event for Kurt, which led to him getting that third place, which then led to him getting that ride with KTM, which has saw him go on to win this event now twice. So that is this overall, I guess, wrap of how this whole thing came about with Toby. And I think that you've got to look at Finke as the original proving ground that really got him noticed as a desert racer. And then I think the Finke then opens up the opportunity for him to go to the Baja 1000, which gives him the opportunity to meet Kurt Caselli. That friendship then is what gives Toby, I guess, the look at the Dakar that he didn't really have before. So with everything, so when you take all of those things into account, you can really see how it has kind of become this cool full circle moment. And for Toby to go on and then win the Dakar, he talked about Caselli in his podium speech when he won. It was almost like the apprentice fulfilling the master's destiny. And now I think with this win in 2018, it's like Toby is really cementing his own legacy as one of the best dudes to ever ride an off-road dirt bike. He's won AROC events in Australia, ISDE events, the Finke Desert Race a record number of times, and now you're looking at 2 wins and 2 podiums at Dakar in 5 appearances. The only time he hasn't been on the podium is when he broke his femur. So, yeah, pretty insane to take a step back and look at everything that has happened since 2010. And in 8 years, I guess almost 9 years, Toby's gone from basically an unknown dude in this space to one of the best dudes to ever do it. All right, let's move on to the internet. So I'm just reading some stuff here. There's been like some memes and some people posting to different media outlets trying to kind of highlight their lack of coverage. There's a photo, I'm going to put it up in the video. The person on the left just won his second Dakar race while competing with a broken wrist. He's a true Aussie champion. 2 oxygen thieves on the right couldn't even win their first round matches and are an embarrassment to Aussie sport. Guess who is getting more mainstream attention? Not the bloke that deserves it. Not the bloke that is out promoting Australian sports. People in a positive light. Motor racing requires balls too. Just a different set. Just a different set, Wade. But it takes balls. But he's right. It does take balls. It takes Toby being probably fucking partly retarded as well to go as fast as he does on a bike. I don't know if it's balls. I think there's some other shit that's going wrong. I want to speak on that a little bit. I just don't know if you're going to be able to avoid that kind of stuff. Like the media, it's easy for them. Like, the tennis is easy, it's digestible, it's palatable. They don't really have to do anything. And you got to think about, like, this takes work to explain everything in detail enough for people to, like, get it. Like, I don't know how long we've been 27 minutes I've been talking about Toby doing Dakar. Like, that's a show, you know. Obviously, we're going to edit this and cut it down so it's, you know, takes out all the bullshit that I've messed up. But basically, when you see tennis on the news, you just know what's going on. It's two dudes on a court or two chicks on a court, and they're hitting the ball back and forth. So it's like really easy to go insert controversy here or insert story here. It's just so quick. And any of the news stuff that you have seen from Dakar since Toby's won, it's 30 seconds. Like, you can't, he got a broken wrist and he won the race for the second time. Like, that's all you can fit in 30 seconds. So I just think it's so easy for the mainstream news. Like, you know what's happening with tennis. You know what's happening with football. Yeah, all the dudes are fuck ups. Like, it's this easy story. It's going to grab a headline. And I think people have like an expectation of the news to like really say what's actually going on. Like, that's not really what it's there for. I think that, like, real journalism is done by the people like, you know, like the Racer X's and the Speed Cafes and all of these places. There's like passionate dudes that know about the sport. They're the ones that are doing the real reporting. So I just think it's like, yeah, you're right in, you know, posting to Channel 9 and saying that, you know, these dudes are fuck ups. Essentially they are. But I mean, it's, I guess, just like have perspective of what it is. And now with the internet, like, I'm not a journalist, but we can turn some cameras on and make this video go over the facts and, I guess, show people what Toby did do. So, I don't know. I get it that he probably should have got more media coverage. I'd say Toby will be on every news station and radio station this week when he gets home. It would have been good to see more support going his way before this whole thing went down, while it was going down. But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that there was like hundreds and, you know, thousands of messages going towards Toby while he was racing. I know he sees all that stuff. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. There will be a ton of media coverage coming Toby's way, I'm sure, as soon as he lands, which is today, by the way. The other thing I wanted to talk about as well is the video. The bet Toby made with Lyle Sands was one of the coolest things ever. That got so much attention. That was everywhere. And I think that in this day and age, and especially like just after we talked about the news thing, like, fuck the news. Like, there's so much currency in 2019 in making a memeable moment. And Toby gave us like that memeable moment with this whole head shave bet. And I think that we're going to see that being more and more powerful as things go on. But I think that's maybe one of the cooler moments to come out of this. And I thought it was like funny when he was sending us those photos of him with the shaved head. It's like, the dude just won and then he lost. Like, I just thought that was crazy that it's like he's at this party. It's like his party. He won the race and now he's getting his head shaved. All right, so we're back. We run out of time at the first little bit of doing this. So we're back at Alpine Group Studios and we just witnessed something that's pretty cool that I haven't really seen before on the scale that it just went down, which was Toby getting off the plane at the Brisbane airport. Maddie and the team put out a bit of a press release late yesterday saying that, like, giving Toby's arrival information into Brisbane. And there was a huge crowd of people. We took the cameras there, myself and Mick went there to get some footage, and it was really rad to just see how many people came out. People that made posters overnight, they made signs. There were a crazy amount of people actually at the gate when Toby got off the plane. and then even more people down at the baggage claim. The news outlets showed up, so they grabbed some stuff with Toby there, and then there was also like a cavalcade of bikes that were waiting at the servo up the road, and then when they gave him the word that Toby was out the front, they come around and the police kind of stopped traffic so that there could be like this parade of riders that were obviously showing their support to Toby as well, and it was just cool to see, and I think that was undeniably Australian, just a bunch of bogans living their best life on Dakar inspired postie bikes and like full just putting it on the limiter in the arrival terminal at Brisbane Airport. So pretty special to be a part of that, and to just see how much winning a race like this means. And I think it's amplified by the fact that being in Australia, so far away from the rest of the world, I think that when one of us wins, in a way it makes it feel like everybody wins, and I think that isolation breeds a little bit of that at times, where you just feel disconnected, you feel far away, you feel like the constant underdog, and I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why people get behind winners in Australia in this sort of way. And I think too, you just get this mix of Toby being, you know, this insanely personable guy that is so good with fans. He stood there, talked to everybody for what felt like hours at the airport, making sure every kid got an autograph and pictures, and so I mean that's obviously got something to do with it as well. One of the funny, like we were sort of talking about the meme moments, I think one of the funny meme moments of this for me was in every single photo that come out of Toby post finish line, Matthias Walkner, his teammate, is like in every single shot. But that's the full version. Like when you get to the ones that people are actually posting on Instagram, every single person has cropped Matthias out of the photo, and there's just a random arm in every single photo.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
There was also some crazy shit that came out of this whole Benavides thing, but this is the kind of messages that we're getting, that Toby got. Toby, you are a person not pleasant in Argentina. You were wrong with Kevin Benavides, and that we will not forgive you. You are the son, get this, you are the son of 1,000 whores and a traitor and a bad loser. This, you cannot make this up. I'm reading this word for word off Instagram. A traitor and a bad loser. In this Dakar, you will fail, which obviously we know now wasn't the case. You will fail, as you are the son of 1,000 whores you are. You will not be number one, bastard. The number one is for Kevin Benavides. So this guy's Instagram is Rodriba Saga. So I obviously butchered that. Couple of things here. Maybe the son of 1,000 whores is a bit too heavy for this particular thing. Like, we're just raising bikes here, bro. And also that you will fail in this Dakar, which we now know didn't happen. So anyway, some interesting shit has gone down. But yeah, like I said, I'll try and get the photos off Toby and actually post them in the video. But yeah, heavy shit goes down in Dakar. And I guess the one thing to come out of that is that, like, at least people care about Dakar enough to fucking talk shit, you know what I mean? But like, goddamn, son of 1,000 whores. That's some fucking like old school unfiltered Aladdin shit. Like if Aladdin was R-rated, that's how they'd talk. What's this next one? You're a big ass. Kevin Benavides has struggled a lot here in Dakar, and then you go do that. He has raced very well / cheated in an honest way / dishonest way for cheating. Honestly, you did wrong, and I hope you pay for that because he didn't deserve that. You're a filthy person and you did it because you realized that Kevin had a minimal chance. Frankly, disgusting. I mean, I guess we have to keep in context that this is probably Google Translate, right? Like they're putting this shit in. I wonder if Google Translate would work if he says 1,000 whores, or if they'd try and like, you know, I want to type what? So they're speaking Spanish. Oh, I don't have Google Translate on here. It's fucking, that's a great, like, it is pretty, like, at least that gives you some perspective of, like, where the race is. Like, this doesn't happen here. Like, this is really far away when you're the son of 1,000 whores. Oh, I love it. All right. So, yeah, that was today. Big day. We obviously, started this morning by doing this and then run out of time, went to the airport, come back, and we're going to cut in a bit of extra footage, but yeah, honestly, I guess to close this video off, really insane just to see, for one, Toby to win the race. Like, honestly, that is against all odds. Like, he didn't use his hand at all today. He's obvious, like, it's jacked. Like, he really rode through a lot to make that win happen. But then, again, to come home and see such an overwhelming reaction, positivity and support that poured through just goes to show how much Toby and this race means to everyone here in Australia. So that's it for this video. Not our normal Gypsy Tales video, but I guess this is a pretty special occasion when one of our own is able to do pretty much the impossible, really. So yeah, don't know if we'll do too many more of these or what the deal will be, but thank you to everyone that watched. And yeah, we're going to work on having Tobes on the podcast pretty soon. So thank you very much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're putting a fair bit of effort into this. And yeah, see you soon.